Well, this community has gone to shit. If you told me 6 months ago I'd be making a video like this, I'd have laughed in your face. But with creators such as EAS New York, EAS Scenario owner Mulligatawny, the community has been on a downward spiral for a couple of months now, and in my opinion, it's doomed. Today, I'm going to go over why, and let's just get straight into it. The first instance of an ES video I could find was by a creator called Milky Splash, all the way back in 2007. From this point until about early 2018, it was just sporadic videos by a few members of the community. And at early 2018, that was when a few of the biggest creators today came out of nowhere. You know, Radioactive Girl, myself, and a load of others came out of nowhere, and the community started to kind of rise and become slightly more mainstream. And then we got to about summer, autumn of 2018, and that's when the Discord servers grew, and a load of the creators were pretty big, you know, a few K subscribers, and it was all fine, it was all peaceful until about early to mid 2019, where a load of new creators started to come out of nowhere. You know, Electric Fanatic is the big example, because his subscriber growth was unheard of. It was rapid, hundreds of subscribers within weeks, and that pretty much represented the growth of the community. He was just one of many examples of creators coming out of nowhere, growing at a rapid rate, and with the rapid rate of creators coming out of nowhere and their subscriber growth, it was pretty much inevitable that the fans would grow at a similar rate. So they all climbed into the Discord servers. New Discord servers were being made, more and more people were going into it, and of course that brought disaster. The first example was probably with ES Scenario 2, where I would say it was justified considering he was a bit of a cunt, but that set precedent for what the community could do, and even more so with Mulligatawny, where more and more people started to make videos, they talked about it, it was becoming a bit more mainstream, and that represented where one of the biggest issues of the community lies today, where people will attention seek. The reason we have such a big problem in the community with a load of attention seekers is because they know they'll get the attention. They know that people will make videos on them, people will talk about them. And in a community where the big creators are at the top with all the attention, the lower ones just aren't getting it. Sometimes you have to do with it in order to get attention. It's rather like a rainforest. The big trees get all the sunlight, they get all the growth, where the little ones at the bottom, they're starving. They have to scavenge, they have to fight the bigger ones just to get some of the sunlight, and that's pretty much what's happening here. All the smaller creators, if they want attention, they have to fight the bigger ones. They have to take them out and, you know, grow. And, you know, Luigi Cap 10, his channel almost went down. He almost paid the price for it, and that set a dangerous precedent in the community. But over these past couple of months, that hasn't necessarily been the biggest problem in the community, which is what I'm going to go over now. In my opinion, that theory there connects pretty much perfectly with the community, in that as the population increases, the food supply doesn't increase with it, it's linear, while the population growth is exponential. And it fits in the population growth, servers of the community in general, exponential. The control and the kind of policing we can do to make sure shit isn't going on, linear. Just like the theory, we can't control it. And in this community more than others, that brings chaos for the points that I am going to go over now. First of all, this community is vulnerable as fuck. As Soulcatcher was saying a few days ago, one of the community members almost took their own life, and that, at first you're like, oh, what's gone on there? And I will admit, what he did wasn't great. Apparently he was asking pictures for a 17-year-old, and I mean, that is disgusting in its own right and unforgivable. But at the same time, we don't need to be telling people to kill themselves and giving no contact orders without listening to the entire fucking story. Just wait, just listen, find out what's going on, and then make an informed decision of what we're going to do. Instead of this community, I must say, is really knee-jerk, in that one thing happens and instantly everyone has to react to it in this one extreme way. And in a community that's really vulnerable, that can spell trouble. Evidently with that, I'm pretty sure it was Soulcatcher and Floppy Disk Drive and a few other people that actually stopped him from killing himself. But think of it this way: this community almost had a life taken. Someone almost died. Whether you're like, oh, he's a bad person or not, that's irrelevant. Someone almost died. I'll give you another example that happened yesterday, or as of recording this. EAS Windsor, UK, almost took her own life. Why? I'm not particularly sure. And Luigi Cap 10 went into a pretty depressed state. Whether or not he was going to do it, I don't know, or was hinting towards it. Again, I don't know. And when you're like, how does this relate? It relates to show you how vulnerable this community is and how weak it is. So if you have troublemakers coming over and causing chaos, this is a community where people aren't going to deal with it as well. I sound annoyed, and yeah, I'm not happy with it, but at the end of the day, this chaos isn't going to affect me. I'm pretty normal. I don't have depression. I don't have suicidal tendencies. I don't have any of this that makes me more vulnerable than the average person, but I don't represent the community. Most of the community is full of these issues. There's a lot of people with depression, all these like suicidal tendencies, etc., etc. So when you cause shit in the community, naturally, it's going to affect more people and in worse ways. The fact that we almost had another in the space of 2 or 3 days, we almost had 2 suicides. Think of it, that's bad. 2 casualties. This is a community that was designed for ES videos. It's supposed to be harmless, and it's almost ended in 2 people taking their own life. 2 people dying. You're never going to speak to those people again. They're gone. And one of the people I would say I'm not particularly happy with is Techie. He was pretending to be Mulligatawny in one of the servers, and I tell him stop, it's just attention seeking, and he's like, oh, it's a joke, and I'm like, well no one's finding it funny. And it pretty much ends with him threatening to raid the server. I don't have screenshots of this because he left the server, and all his responses went instead of him being banned, which would have likely kept them there. So pretty much ended with me being like, you're one of the main instigators of drama in this community, and you're telling me all this shit, like, what are you on about? And his response is, oh, you want to go there, let me get the big guns out. It clearly shows, this was only a few days ago, by the way, it clearly shows he hasn't changed. He still thinks that he's the big boy, he's the one in control, he's the one in power, and he can cause shit. And that's the... And he clearly said that he didn't give a shit, he didn't care, and that is one of the worst parts of the community. People just don't care if they cause shit. And I have to give props to him. When ES Windsor UK was contemplating suicide and telling everyone about it, he was actually there trying to stop him. So I will give him credit where credit is due, and I hope that this can maybe be him turning a new page and realising that this is not a community where you just want to cause shit for the sake of it and for your own entertainment, because something bad is going to happen. Clearly, something bad almost happened. Whether or not it was linked to it, I don't know. But one day, it may very well just be, and that shows that something bad will happen. Even if it does, we're not going to face the punishment because it's the internet. But at the same time, I will say it to anyone who causes drama in this community. I'm like, fucking take this art. Do you really think you'll be able to take the guilt? Live with the guilt, knowing that something you did resulted in someone, you know, taking their own life, because at the end of the day, you're not going to suffer the punishment. Physical punishment, you're not going to face it because this is the internet. This is 2019. That's just not, we're not established enough in the internet for that to really kind of happen. So, but you will still have to live with that. You will still have to live knowing that if you hadn't done that, that person would still be alive. And that's the one thing I hate in this community nowadays, is that we have people causing shit and drama for no apparent reason. And it drives me fucking up the wall. That and the knee-jerk reactions of, oh, this person has done something bad. All of a sudden we're telling him to kill himself, which is just as bad, if not worse, to the person who's actually causing it. Not just one or two people giving them shit. It's the entire community just turning on them and instantly going bad. And it showed with EAS New York. Everyone had this info. Everyone was just told. And I mean, I sound like I'm sitting on like a fucking high horse. Like I've got my halo over my head. I am not innocent. I am not clean in this situation. I have done my own bad shit. One of those, EAS New York. We found out, we found out that he was supposedly Mulligatawny, and while I stand by that, and of the things I found, I don't like him. I completely 100% regret how we did it, because all the community found out was that he supposedly, well, it should be to them, we knew, but they didn't really take it with a grain of salt. They just heard he's a Mulligatawny. Instant swarm of hate, disgusting, oh my god, just slagging him off to the point where all his videos have been privated. His server, everyone's banned off it. He's just gone invisible. The fucker could be dead for all I know. I mean, I just don't know, because he's disappeared. Because the swarm he got, fuck me. I was reading it. Most people were shocked, but then again, most people were slagging him off. And I mean, you could be like, oh, right, that's a bad example. But at the same time, if that applied to someone who hasn't necessarily done something that bad, or just false allegations, all of a sudden, this person's getting swarmed with hate, negativity, and then link that back to the fact that this community is vulnerable. You take someone who hasn't necessarily done something that bad, if anything at all, add on the fact that they may be vulnerable, and all of a sudden you have a fucking recipe for disaster here. This is like Chernobyl 2.0, because you have someone who's getting all this hate and they're vulnerable. Chances are they're going to start, if they have depression, suicidal tendencies, they're going to go into that mode, and we don't necessarily want to go around cleaning up after everybody's mess or trying to stop people from committing suicide every other day, because frankly, we don't have the time. You know, we're ES creators, we focus on creating our content. We don't necessarily want to have to be dealing with the shit and the drama in the community that's causing people to want to end their own lives. We don't have time for that. So, you know, we'll do you a favour in making you the content, and you'll do us a favour in making our jobs easier by not giving us shit and drama. So that's a rant mode over. Sick one. Alright lads, to conclude, I just want to say, as joking as my content usually seems, and as kind of satirical and lighthearted as I try to make it, this video is deadly serious. There has been no joking in that 8-minute rant I just did, and in this entire video. And I really would appreciate it for everyone watching this video to share it with everyone, because at the end of the day, we need this community to change. I said it was doomed, and I stand by this fact. But at the end of the day, I want people to prove me wrong. I want people to actually make change. So put this out there. Send it to all your mates, or at least in the community. Probably don't send it to your actual mates. They'll be like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? But we want change in this community. We want people to be better, to prevent tragedies. Because at the end of the day, there is with the amount of, like, considering we've had, like, what, almost 2 or 3 suicides in the past 2 or 3 days. I mean, it's only a matter, if that keeps up and we have one almost every other day, eventually it's not going to work, and our protest and our, like, don't do it and kind of trying to calm down the person isn't going to work. And the last thing I want on my channel in this community is have to make like a rest in peace video. It's just not how I want it to go. It's not the vibe I want on this channel, and it's not gonna look good on the community. At the end of the day, the community is pretty broken. It's pretty fallen. It's not going well, and we want to change that. We want to make it better, make it more like the old days, more civil. And this is a message straight up to all the people who cause drama, like Techie, who like I said before, I give him props. Maybe he'll start changing, and I really hope he does. And maybe people who are, you know, other people like ES Freak Productions. This is a message directly to you saying, just don't piss about. The information I've told you in this community, the fact that you know that people in this community are vulnerable and may end up doing things such as killing themselves, If you continue knowing that information, then you're a cunt, straight up, and you don't deserve to be in this community. You don't deserve to have fame, and honestly, you're just a disgusting human being. So that's where I'm going to end this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one, and goodbye.